Hello everyone, this is Jersey Shore Lisa and I'm with MyNJGarden.com, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit this morning about overwintering parsley and other herbs in the garden. I have never overwintered parsley before, but I have planted fennel and had that come back the next year. These herbs are great for us to use during the season, during the growing season. You can pick them whenever you need them, bring them right into the kitchen, and you might not just have them waiting in your fridge. They tend to go bad when you have them in the kitchen for too long, so it's nice to be growing them outside because then they're available whenever you're inspired to cook something with fresh herbs. However, if they do well over the winter, or they go dormant over the winter and then come back in spring, butterflies love them too. Not the adult butterflies, but the babies. When they hatch, the larvae, they feed on the herbs and then they form the chrysalis in there and then they turn into butterflies, and it works out really well for them. So I wanted to show you what's happening on my parsley this spring. I also wanted to show you this funky thing that's happening, and it was totally unplanned. And I can't decide if I'm disgusted about it or not. I guess I'm not, but it's not what I had in mind. Let me show you what happened with a pear tree I planted in late winter. So I bought this 5-in-1 pear tree from, I think it was Burpee's garden catalog, and it came bare root, and I planted it in late winter, and nothing happened. Nothing. It was a stick for weeks and weeks. And now I gave up on the space, and instead of cutting it down, I actually put up this cage around it and planted 4 tomato plants around it. Can you see the tomatoes there? So 2 days after I put up this cage, and I hadn't filled it with compost yet, the point of putting up the cage was to have something for the tomato plants to hold on to as they grew. Obviously, you have to stake tomato plants, or you have to cage them, or you have to set up some sort of support. Because this is a front yard bed, and I'd never done it this way before, but I had read about another person who did. I built this cage, and I was going to fill it with compost and water the compost, and so then that would feed the tomato plants and provide support. I figured I wouldn't waste the space because the pear tree wasn't doing anything. 2 days after I put up the cage, the pear tree leaves out. Now, I don't think it's a 5-in-1 pear tree anymore because if you can see where they had grafted buds onto the trunk, those buds died. And so now it's basically just the main trunk that's leafing out. So I'm not sure which kind of pear tree it is, but we'll find out in a few years. And I guess I'm not going to fill it with compost now and just see how the tomatoes do around there. And trim them, I guess, when they start getting too overwhelming. Maybe I'll leave the cage there for the season, see how crowded it gets over there. Okay, so let's go see the parsley that overwintered, and it's not really an impressive parsley plant. It was just this little bitty thing, but it did survive. And now there are a ton of little caterpillars on here, and I hope that you can see them. I'm going to try and focus the camera, backing up slowly. So there's one there, and there's one down there. And there's a little guy up here. There he is. So these guys are going to eat this entire plant. I'm absolutely sure of it. And hopefully their chrysalis will be okay. They'll leave enough of it where they can form little chrysalis and become butterflies. And so I need to plant more parsley because there's not going to be enough for me and my family. But I've also never seen parsley flowers before because I never had a successfully overwintered parsley. But there are buds there, and maybe before the caterpillars eat them, it will flower, and I'll get to see what they look like. Okay, everybody, I've also planted more lettuce today because I planted lettuce a couple of times so far this season, and nothing's come up. I think my seeds were bad. So I got new seeds, and I'm planting lettuce, and hopefully before it gets too hot, I'll get to enjoy some out of the garden. When it gets too hot, lettuce doesn't like it. Lettuce is a cold weather vegetable, and it will bolt and go to seed, and it's not delicious to eat anymore. So I have to hurry. And this is a rose. I'm just taking you through. Thank you for joining me on my garden tour this morning and enjoying checking out the caterpillars. And hopefully we'll get some pretty butterflies visiting the garden. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.